In 1773, the British Parliament passed a law that quietly rewrote the future of human labor, but nobody noticed. No headlines, no protests, no riots. The change was slow, subtle, almost invisible. Within decades, over 7 million acres of public land in England simply disappeared. Taken, not by soldiers, not by kings, but by fences, paperwork, and a silent shift in property law. Entire communities, farmers, villagers, legally evicted from the land their families had known for generations. And yet, there was no war, no rebellion, just a creeping force sweeping through the countryside, pushing people off the land and into factories. Most history books call this progress, a natural step toward industrial society. But what if it wasn't natural? What if it was something more deliberate, engineered behind the scenes? What if this was only the beginning? You see, nobody saw it coming. It never occurred to anyone to say no, to stop it. It was as if the world quietly agreed to the greatest theft without a sound. In the 1700s, most people in England lived off the land, not as farmers by trade, but because they had rights, common rights. Forests, pastures, rivers, shared freely, open to the village. A villager could graze a cow, collect firewood, or grow food. Not full freedom, but enough to survive without begging or pleading. But then something strange happened. Parliament began passing over 5,000 laws known as the Enclosure Acts. Between 1604 and 1914, nearly 7 million acres of land were fenced off, sold, and privatized. Think about it. Before these laws, people could plant trees where they wanted, forage in the woods, let their animals graze freely. After the laws, doing the same could mean fines or even arrests. Today, this is just common knowledge, but back then, this was revolutionary. People were forced off their land legally, not by conquest, not by battle, but by pen and paper. They had no choice. No land meant no food. No food meant no life. So they moved to cities, to factories. That's the official story. Progress, they called it. But here's what's interesting. Economists like Carl Polanyi called it the greatest transformation, a shift from land-based economy to labor-based one. But it wasn't natural, it was forced. Some historians call this the birth of wage slavery, because once you remove a population's ability to survive on their own, you don't need chains or prisons. You just offer a paycheck. And here's where the rabbit hole goes even deeper. The theft of land wasn't about farming. Productivity wasn't the driver. It was about labor supply. They needed workers for factories, for industry, for the coming revolution. And the state made sure that they got them. But why would England want to manufacture a labor class? And who would truly benefit from turning farmers into factory workers? A connection between this mass displacement and the rise of global capitalism could never have existed, could it? Well, turns out it did. By the mid-1800s, millions of people across England had been uprooted from the land their families had lived on for generations. They didn't choose to leave, they had no choice. Most found themselves packed into growing industry cities, Manchester, Birmingham, London, forced by circumstance, pushed by necessity. Factories waited for them. Steam power roared to life. Machinery clattered. Mass production boomed. Historians call this the Industrial Revolution. But here's where the story deepens. This revolution wasn't just powered by innovation or invention. It was powered by desperation. Factory owners, many newly wealthy, often linked by the secret networks like the suddenly had access to what seemed like an endless supply of labor. Displaced farmers became factory workers, 12 to 16 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, for barely enough to survive. Wage slavery wasn't a side effect of this change, it was the foundation. Economist Michael Perelman, in The Invention of Capitalism, points out something chilling. Early capitalists feared people returning to the land, because as long as anyone could survive independently, they wouldn't accept these harsh working conditions. So the state made sure survival outside the system was impossible. Laws criminalized begging, vagrancy, even growing food on some lands. If you weren't working, you weren't surviving. By 1834, the Poor Law Amendment Act officially punished poverty. Failed to work? You'd be sent to a workhouse, where labor was harsh and freedom scarcer than ever. Work or starve. Work or be imprisoned. The choice? Illusion. But now, the rabbit hole takes a sudden twist, because something peculiar happened halfway around the world, on the other side of the planet. A wealthy entrepreneur named Henry Ford stepped into the picture. It was the early 20th century. Suddenly, the brutal 16-hour workday became 8 hours. The grueling 6-day workweek shrank to 5. Ford's decision in 1926 to pay factory workers $5 a day and give them 40-hour work weeks was celebrated worldwide as a triumph for labor. Generous, progressive, humane. But here's the secret that nobody talks about. Ford wasn't acting out of kindness. He was engineering control to boost productivity, to reduce costly turnover, and most importantly, to create better consumers. As Ford himself ominously said, "It is well that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." Wait, what? Why would a car maker speak of monetary systems and revolution? Who was he afraid of? And why did his labor reforms so quickly become the global standard? A single man reshaped work for the entire modern world, and nobody questioned it. Could there perhaps be a hidden connection between Ford's revolution and a larger, more sinister plan to control labor on a global scale? Well, that sounds impossible, right? Well, turns out it was true. You've heard the story 1,000 times. Henry Ford invented the 40-hour workweek to make life better for workers. But what if that story is only half true? Because behind the scenes, things get stranger. Ford's world wasn't just about factories and cars. It was intertwined with powerful hidden networks, secret circles operating in shadows, shaping society in ways most people never imagine. And here's where the rabbit holes twist. Many of these networks are linked to Freemasonry. Wait, Freemasonry? The old guild of medieval stonemasons? Yes, but there is more than just a guild. It's a brotherhood of rituals, hierarchies, and symbols, many of them centered on work, labor, and spiritual progression. Fast forward to the early 1900s, the industrial titans and banking elites controlling America's economy were deeply connected to these secret societies. Names like J.P. Morgan, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and even some of Ford's closest associates moved within these circles. And here's something you probably didn't know. Freemasonry is obsessed with numbers, especially 8 and 40. The 8-hour work week, 5 days a week, that's 40 hours. Coincidence? Maybe. But these numbers appear again and again in ritual, architecture, and sacred texts. 40 days of biblical flood. 40 days Jesus spent fasting in the desert. 40 years the Israelites wandered in the wilderness. Even in Freemasonry, the number 40 is symbolic of purification and trials. It shows up in rituals marking transformation and initiation. And then there's 8, the number of regeneration and new beginnings in esoteric traditions. The octagon, a sacred shape in Masonic temples, representing the transition between the material and spiritual worlds. Masonic tracing boards often feature 8 pointed stars, 8 steps, or 8 pillars, symbols of balance and order. Now ask yourself, was the 40-hour work week simply a result of productivity science, or could it be a ritual structure, a modern initiation, a weekly cycle of labor and fatigue designed to keep people disciplined, obedient, and just distracted enough not to question. Because it gets darker. Henry Ford wasn't just a businessman obsessed with production lines. He was a man consumed by control, not just of labor, but of thought. He believed in social engineering, behavioral shaping, and even ideological warfare, and sought to influence the minds of his workers through education and conditioning. So when the 40-hour workweek spread around the world, it wasn't because it was humane. It was because it worked, not just for productivity, but for control. Workers were given just enough rest to recover, and just enough freedom to feel normal, but never enough space to think deeply, organize, and rebel. And now here's your final twist for this chapter. The Freemasons' famous motto is, making good men better. But what if the modern workweek isn't just about improving lives? What if it's their method of molding workers, shaping minds to fit a system designed long before you were born? Is your 40-hour workweek just a number? Or is it a carefully crafted chain, one that you wear without even realizing it? A connection between ancient secret societies and your everyday work schedule sounds crazy, right? But when you look at the facts and the people involved, it's hard to ignore. Nobody knows exactly how the old guard stayed in power. But here's what's interesting about that. The industrial titans of the 1900s laid the foundation for modern capitalism. But the game changed after World War II. New players emerged, global institutions, secretive gatherings, and elite summits. One of the most powerful and least understood is the World Economic Forum. Founded in 1971 by Klaus Schwab, a man with ties to European industry and politics, the WEF gathers CEOs, politicians, and thought leaders in the Swiss Alps each year. On the surface, the WEF is a think tank aiming to improve the state of the world. But insiders whisper about something else. An invitation-only global lodge where the future of labor and your paycheck is quietly shaped. Red editors and observers describe it as an uncountable invitation, only gathering increasingly where global decisions are being taken. And what did Klaus Schwab propose during the Cucumber 19? He proposed the Great Reset, presented as a plan for sustainable capitalism and digital innovation. It pushed ideas like ESG, stakeholder capitalism, increased automation, and AI integration in workplaces. Now, here's the catch. While these sound positive, critics argue that the Great Reset is a blueprint to centralize control over labor markets, deepen economic dependency, and reshape the meaning of work itself. If labor was once forced by fences and factories, now it's shaped by algorithms and surveillance, by code, not chains. And yet, the global workweek looks strikingly similar to the one Henry Ford established a century ago. But why? Because the control system is evolving, but the goal remains the same. Keep the masses working, consuming, and too distracted to question the cage. Now here is where it gets even more mysterious. The WEF annual meetings are often shrouded in secrecy. Journalists have reported strange rituals, costume performances, secretive invitations, even QR code puzzles leading to obscure ceremonies. Is this just marketing or something more? A global secretive network of elites controlling how, when, and why you work sounds far-fetched, right? But here's what's interesting. It's not just history repeating, it's history evolving. One secret summit is strange enough, but what if I told you that there is another lodge, even older, even more secretive? Welcome to a club even more hidden, with whispers louder than Alps. Since 1954, behind closed doors at luxury hotels across Europe and North America, a different kind of gathering has shaped the world's fate. The Bilderberg Group. No press, no cameras, just a select few: politicians, royalty, bankers, CEOs, and intelligence chiefs, meeting in absolute secrecy. What do they talk about? What decisions are quietly being made? No official records exist, only rumors and leaks. Some say it's a shadow government. Others call it a global elite private lodge. Unlike the WEF's polished public face, Bilderberg operates in the shadow. Its power felt but rarely seen. The guest list is by invitation only, crossing continents and industries, those who really run the show. It's a club older than many realize, steeped in Cold War origins, but surviving into the digital age with even more influence. And like the Freemasons before them, symbolism and secrecy cloak their every move. Think about it. While the world focuses on daily headlines, these gatherings quietly set agendas, economic policies, wars, surveillance laws, and yes, even the future of work. The Bilderberg Group doesn't just discuss labor markets, they influence them. You might never hear about it in mainstream news, but here's the thing. The same elites connected to the early industrial capitalism, Freemasonry, and the WEF all converge here. The threads pull tighter the deeper you go. What began as isolated acts of enclosure and factory, control has evolved into a more complex web, global summits, secret lodges, and digital surveillance, all designed to keep the wheels turning and the workers working. And just like that, you realize the cage isn't made of steel or paper. It's made by decisions, agreements, and secrets whispered in hotel ballrooms no one else can enter. The rabbit hole just keeps going, and it's darker and deeper than most dare to imagine. Nobody wants you to hear this, but behind the polished conferences and closed doors, the system is whispering, and it's not as solid as it seems. For decades, power wore a mask, smooth, untouchable, unbreakable, the perfect illusion of control. Most of how the people in the power really operate has been hiding from the public, locked behind secrets and silence. But then something changed, something nobody expected. On December 3rd, 2006, a website called WikiLeaks quietly launched, and it began tearing down those walls. Suddenly, the hidden conversations of governments and global elites weren't so hidden anymore. Emails, documents, secret cables all spilled into the public eye. And what did we learn? The polished promises of progress and cooperation hid a darker truth. Behind the scenes, global masters discussed controlling labor markets not to empower workers, but to tighten their grip. It wasn't about jobs anymore. It was about behavior. Algorithms designed to track, score, and control you in ways you can barely imagine. One leaked conversation revealed chilling plans to reshape how we work, live, and interact, using surveillance and data as new chains. But here's the thing, not everything was leaked. The most sensitive secrets remain hidden in the shadows. The deeper machinery, the real power plays, they're still buried, locked away. And Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, still hidden from the world, trapped in a fight for truth that feels more like a prison sentence. These leaks are more than just warnings. They're cracks forming in the system's glossy facade. The cracks are widening, the illusion is fading. And here's the chilling part. Maybe WikiLeaks revealed everything we needed to hear, or maybe not. Then, on June 9th, 2013, a man walked out of the NSA carrying a USB stick loaded with secrets the world wasn't supposed to know about. That man was Edward Snowden, and what he revealed would change everything. So imagine this. A seemingly ordinary government contractor quietly walked out one of the world's most secretive buildings, the NSA, carrying not just one, but a bunch of digital secrets. It sounds like something from a spy thriller, but this was real. For years, Snowden worked inside the heart of the surveillance state. He had access to thousands of classified files, programs designed to monitor billions of people worldwide, not just suspected criminals, but everyday workers, activists, and even world leaders. What he uncovered was staggering. Mass surveillance, secret courts, backdoors into smartphones and computers, a digital web designed to watch every move you make. Snowden didn't just walk away quietly. He leaked tens of thousands of documents exposing these hidden systems to the world. Suddenly, the illusion of privacy shattered. Governments claimed it was all for security, but many saw it for what it truly was: control, a way to keep people obedient by watching, scoring, and predicting their behavior. Snowden's revelations shone a harsh light on the dark underbelly of modern labor and life, where you work, habits, and even thoughts could be tracked and manipulated. And just like Alice falling deeper down the rabbit hole, the world was forced to confront a new reality, a reality where freedom isn't just defined by laws, but by algorithms and surveillance. Snowden became both a hero and a fugitive, hunted by powerful forces, but embraced by those demanding truth and transparency. His story is a warning. The cages are no longer physical, they're digital, invisible, and far more complex. And while Snowden lifted the curtain, the question remains: how deep does the rabbit hole really go? Nobody knows where it's really heading, but here's what we do know, and it's already terrifying. For most people, artificial intelligence feels new, shiny, futuristic, but the truth is, AI has been growing quietly for decades in the shadows, behind firewalls, built by people most of us will never meet. Let's start with OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, the face of the modern AI revolution. Now, you might be surprised to learn that OpenAI was originally a nonprofit. Founded in 2015, it claimed to be building safe open AI for everyone. That mission didn't last. By 2019, it quietly transformed into a for-profit cap entity, striking billion-dollar deals with Microsoft and moving much of its work behind closed doors. Why the sudden shift? Some believe OpenAI's original vision was hijacked, that the mission of freedom and access was replaced by control and profit. Nobody noticed, nobody questioned, and maybe that's the most dangerous part. But OpenAI is just the tip of the iceberg. AI isn't just a tool anymore. It's quickly becoming the system. Today, algorithms decide who sees your job application, how much you pay for insurance, which posts go viral, and soon, who gets hired or fired. Behind the scenes, your every move is quantified, scored, analyzed, not by people, by code. And it goes deeper. Right now, millions of people track their every step, heartbeat, and calorie through devices that upload data in real time. We volunteer this data every day. Smartphones monitor your location, your calendar, your conversations, yes, via background microphones. And social media, it doesn't just track you, it steers you. Your feed is shaped by AI behavior models trained on millions of users, designed to maximize attention, outrage, and control. You thought you were just scrolling freely, but the feed was feeding you. And while you're distracted by filters, likes, and shares, governments and corporations are quietly preparing something far darker. Not just algorithms watching your every move, not just AI deciding your fate at work, but control that goes beyond the digital, into your very body, your biology. And if you thought being trapped in the cage of wage slavery was bad, just wait until you meet Wage Slavery 2.0, the rise of Biotech, where your freedom isn't just limited by hours or paychecks, but by what's inside you. Now, I know this sounds like science fiction, but it's actually already here. Nobody would ever let a chip into their body, right? Well, it turns out it's already happening, and it's only the beginning. Imagine a future where your body is no longer just your own, where convenience and control collides between your skin. Sweden quietly became ground zero when Biohacks International began implementing RFID chips under thousands of citizens' skin, turning people into living wallets. Pay for coffee with the wave of your hand. Unlock doors without keys. Store travel passes in your flesh. convenience, or the first step towards compliance. And then there is Neuralink, Elon Musk's brain chip company. In early 2024, the world watched as Nolan Arbaugh, the first human recipient, controlled a computer cursor and played games with his mind alone. Now Neuralink's deep into trials across the US, Canada, and the UK, aiming for 20 to 30 more implants this year. Not just for those with paralysis, but for entire minds. Their blindsight implant, designed to restore vision by directly connecting to the visual cortex, even received breakthrough device status from the FDA. And stories like Brad Smith, a nonverbal ALS patient editing YouTube videos with AI voice assistants controlled by thought, are no longer science fiction. This is astonishing technology, but what if that miracle starts to feel like a leash? Beyond the headlines, patents from companies like Full Power Technology reveal the dark underbelly, technology tracking your sleep, every motion, every gesture, mining your biology for data and control, every fitness tracker, every motion sensor in your phone, every wearable you slip on, all feeding into a vast surveillance web. Meanwhile, the World Economic Forum is already scripting this future, a world where wearables and implants are the norm, an augmented society dressed up as progress. Is this convenience or shackleware? And here's where the twist's deeper. Now imagine your entire body tethered to the system, monitored and controlled, but what about your mind, your opinions, your voice? AI is on the verge of revolutionizing social media, and soon, real influencers like me might be replaced by AI-driven avatars crafted perfectly to push agendas of those in power. No more authentic voices, no more unpredictable thoughts, just AI influencers programmed to keep you scrolling, consuming, and agreeing. The system won't just watch your body. It will shape your reality. Now the rabbit hole splits. You may believe these implants restore health or boost life quality, but what if they tether the very biology and mind of the system? A world where your heartbeat, your focus, even your thoughts are being monitored, monetized, and regulated. Not just for your work hours, but for your essence. And here's the unsettling truth. The body as login, the mind as password, and in the next chapter, we'll venture deeper into how this intimate fusion of human and machine could become the ultimate overseer, not just of labor, but of obedience, loyalty, and identity itself. Because once your body becomes the system's key, freedom isn't just limited, it becomes impossible. So, what does a 19th century law in England, a car company in Detroit, a secretive club of billionaires, and a brain chip in 2025 have in common? Well, the connection shouldn't exist, but it does. The closed loop of control. Let's rewind the story. Farmers were forced off their land by enclosure laws. No land, no choice, only to sell their labor to factories, becoming the first mass-scale wage slaves. And Henry Ford? He didn't just build cars, he engineered time itself. The 40-hour work week wasn't born from kindness, it was a productivity hack, a way to make human effort as predictable as machines. And then came Bilderberg, the World Economic Forum, shadowy gatherings of money and power shaping global narratives. These aren't conspiracy fantasies. These are documented meetings, documented agendas, and documented control. And today, the system doesn't need your body chained to a machine anymore. It needs your data, your thoughts, your attention. With AI models learning your every preference, your entire mental environment can be shaped, nudged, filtered, reinforced, and tracked. You're not labor anymore. You're the resource. When technology crosses the flesh, your phone counts your steps. Your watch listens to your heartbeat. Your browser knows when you're too tired before you do. And tomorrow, a chip under your skin might know more about you than your doctor ever did. A neural implant may predict your decisions before you make them. This isn't fiction. Real patterns, real devices, real agendas wrapped in convenience. Now, here's the twist. What started with pushing peasants into factories has evolved into pushing everyone into a digital prison, from landless laborers to logged-in mines. And the only difference? You don't even realize the prison is there. That's the brilliance of it, and the horror. If you found this useful, tap that like button. It helps wake others up too. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper down the rabbit hole. Until next time, stay hungry, relentless, and most of all, stay human. Because the system isn't just coming for your time anymore. It's coming for your mind. Bye. Oh, you're still here. Oh, that's right. It's the behind-the-scenes vlog. This segment of the video is where I share more personal things. It's mostly for my subscribers, but if you're new here, you're more than welcome to stick around. Okay, today's video was intense. I know that. My goal was to connect the history of wage slavery with the tech progression we see today. And when I started this journey, I thought I was just unpacking wage slavery, something I already understood and made tons of videos about. But what I found felt like peeling back the edge of a screenplay, somewhere between The Matrix, Black Mirror, and reality. It actually reminded me of an old Columbo episode. The crime seems impossible, but once you start connecting the dots, it becomes the only explanation. So logical, it's unsettling, because reality is so much scarier than fiction. And here's the honest truth. I really hope I'm wrong. I hope these connections are just coincidences or overreactions, scattered events. But if they're not, if the patterns are real, we're not heading into a dystopia. We're living in it. It just hasn't shown its teeth yet. So, what can we do? What can you do? Start paying serious attention. Be careful about who you listen to and who you trust. I can't tell you who to trust, whether it's Trump, Elon, or Sam Altman, but my advice is to try and stay human. Don't trade your autonomy for convenience. A few years ago, I made a video about intuition. It didn't get a lot of views because people don't trust intuition. Society teaches us to doubt it. But intuition is very human, possibly our best hope in today's strange, rapidly changing world. I truly believe that. And most of all, question everything before the system finishes programming you. Because once you realize that the cage was built around you, it might already be too late to escape. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.